I have never encountered two protagonists that have irked me more than these two. This is just a reaction to a sequel to the 2002 28 Days Late, 28 Weeks Later. Personally, I did not really like the look of 28 Days Later, probably because I could not appreciate it the way it's supposed to be appreciated. But I did love the characters, and I did feel like the characters were fleshed out enough for the audience, let me just say myself, to care enough about wanting to see them survive. I mean, let's not forget that in the movie, they almost paused it when Jim and Selena met Frank in their house to sort of flesh out the characters well, to give us a reason why we should care about them. Well, in this film, I cared about absolutely none of them. As a matter of fact, I was desperately hoping that the protagonist just... Maybe I don't know how to appreciate the characters. I'm not seated here like some film experts or some critic. I just don't like the protagonists. That's all. 28 Days Later, I did not like the quality of the film. I had to go on YouTube to understand why does this film look so poor? And then I understood it was shot on this camera. And I preferred this look of 28 Weeks Later. Should I do a movie recap? Let me see if I can do a movie recap in seconds. So the movie begins with a number of survivors who are holed up in this home, eating God knows what, until they hear a knock on the door and they rescue this young lad who somehow has not contacted the virus. So they let him in only for this lady who had just lost her partner to the virus, but she does not want to accept it. So she goes to the door and peers outside, only for her to be caught by one of the zombies who bites her hand, and through her, the zombies outside find out that there are humans living in the house and they all invade. And yeah, they infect most of those survivors, except this guy and this other man who leaves his wife, who has become too attached to the child. Wait, did that child actually have the special genes that made him survive the wild? Because he certainly had to have been beaten or something. Anyway, the man leaves his wife, runs out of the house, and it's at this point we discover that his wife has different color of iris. The man escapes the zombies on a boat, and years later he becomes this sort of high-ranking or mid-ranking officer who has access to District 1, which is like the safe zone where humans are brought back to Britain from whatever parts of the world they fled to or were rescued to. The man's name is Don, by the way, and his children arrive as well. He welcomes them, confesses to them that he saw his wife died. At this point, I have to say they did well up to this point with Don's character. I think his character for me was the most interesting because he had this conflict, this ethical dilemma where should he have saved his wife who he loved, or should he have run away like he did? Personally, I think he made the right choice. His two children, a teenage girl and a 12-year-old boy. Note that upon arrival during checkups, it was revealed that the 12-year-old boy, what's his name, Andy, had different pupils like his mother, brown and green. Very important. The children are not pleased to hear that their dad is telling them this is likely where they are going to live forever, or at least for a long time. So they decide the next day to go back to their house and pick some belongings that they are attached to. Wow. They escape this heavily guarded District 1 somehow with actual Jeremy Renner and snipers above the roof. Two children actually escaped District 1 somehow. It was the first part of the film. I was like, I have doubts about this, you know. They escape and arrive at their house, pick some belongings, and while doing that, Andy discovers his mom, who is sort of half zombie, half conscious as a human being. Military officers arrive at their home and they pick the children back to District 1 as well as their mother to conduct experiments, tests on why she's still conscious as a human being and why she's still alive. So this doctor, played by Rose Byrne, her boss, Idris Elba, of course, with the most bossy face, decide that they should just get rid of the woman, but Scarlett wants to keep her for scientific purposes. Her husband Don hears that she is alive and he finds his way to his wife, who is in the laboratory. Feelings of guilt, disbelief, relief, love overwhelm him, and he kisses his wife for a while, and her saliva infects the man with the rage virus, and he kills his wife and breaks out of the laboratory, and the rage virus all of a sudden is in the safe zone. His children are guarded safely somewhere. Scarlett goes to the children to keep them safe, I guess. The epidemic breaks out. The military tries to contain the new arrivals, the uninfected humans, by placing them in a sort of bunker. Andy somehow finds himself separated from his sister in this bunker, and he sees his infected father, Don, looking at him through sort of, was it the back door of the bunker, which Don opens easily, or Andy opened easily. I don't even know who opened it. But if that is like the safe zone in the safe zone, it's quite embarrassing on the military that this safe zone is that's easily accessible by these infected. Anyway, infected Don bites one of the uninfected humans, and the rage virus is all of a sudden inside the safe zone in the safe zone. Chaos ensues and they break out of the safe zone. So the military has to exterminate everyone, infected and uninfected. This is where Jeremy Renner, who has already been established as a military man, that's all. That's just it, decides to become the hero and tries to protect the children. He finds Scarlett and the children who have somehow reconnected and decides to help them escape District 1, maybe because his conscience couldn't take it. But for Scarlett, her reason was, of course, scientific purposes. She discovered that the woman who was half zombie, half human, had a special gene, and because of that, maybe her children would also have this special gene, so she decided to help rescue them. They escape. Renner's colleague Doyle, the air guy, chooses to help them, but he only wants to help Jeremy Renner. His first attempt to rescue only Jeremy doesn't go as planned, so he tells Jeremy to meet him at Wembley Stadium. But Jeremy had to help them in a difficult situation, had to sacrifice himself basically, and gets flamed. So he died. Scarlett helped the kids to find their way to the stadium. During all this time, all this while, their dad Don had been tracking them, following them. I mean the infected Don. Somehow he escaped the bombing of District 1. Somehow he escaped the gas that was supposed to kill any infected remaining who escaped the bombing. And I think it's safe to say at this point that he is an intelligent zombie. Not as intelligent as his wife, but maybe just half as intelligent as his infected wife zombie version. Help me. So he finds Scarlett and the children. He kills Scarlett. His daughter kills him by shooting at him. And they meet Doyle at the stadium, where Doyle resorts to rescuing them and helping them leave Britain. Wow, that was well over seconds. This is my first time. Thank you for bearing with me if you are still watching. I think it was a solid movie, but for this poor character formation, I should say, I feel 28 Days Later was, or tried to be, a movie that was more than just another horror movie. It was about family, love, loyalty, and friendship, and they explored it, first of all, by making us care about the characters, which is quite the opposite here. 28 Weeks Later spent more time establishing the premise than fleshing out the characters. Of course, they need to probably establish what is going on, but that's all I came away with from this film. I don't care about the character. I don't care about the protagonists. Like I said, they are annoying. They basically caused the virus to spread into the safe zone and into the safe zone in the safe zone that was filled with hope. A chance for Britain to repopulate. Anyway, I just think the family, I hated them. Maybe it's just me, like I've been saying. I remember when Jeremy Renner told an adult to act as bait for a sniper when they were escaping District 1, and this Andy guy just decides to jump and go ahead and do it by himself, become the bait. That was heroic. But at the same time, it was reckless, especially from Scarlett's perspective, because these guys are like the two most significant human beings in the world, or in Britain at that moment. And there he is jumping into a sniper's crosshair. Of course, he's a child. But the movie never tries to redeem these children. I was never given a good reason to say, okay, you messed up big time. Look what you've caused. But okay, this is a moment that redeems you. It never came. Okay, don't expect it from Andy. He's just a 12-year-old. How about Tammy, the sister? I mean, she could have done better. We've seen teenagers redeem themselves or make better decisions in disaster movies, horror movies. Can be unrealistic sometimes, but I still feel they should have found a way to redeem the children. Make us want them to win. Make us want them to survive. 28 days later, it pained me when Frank got infected. The way it was shot, the way it was directed, when Frank got infected by were they birds? I felt this prick in my heart, like, oh my word, his daughter. And you see, that's what I'm saying. The relationship between his daughter and himself, and then later with Cillian Murphy and the lady Selena, it was well established that if anything bad happened to any of them, if any harm came to any of them, you would care so much as a viewer and also care so much from the perspective of one of the characters. Because they are losing or we're about to lose family, someone who they deeply cared about. But here, Jeremy Renner's death, okay, that one pained me a bit because he was the only one I really cared about, but not as a military man, just because he is Jeremy Renner. I guess Scarlett's death too pained me a bit, but I honestly did not care. When Dawn got infected, yeah, that part where he kissed his wife and got infected was painful. It was a bit emotional. But then realize that this man should be a sort of expert in the art of zombie knowledge, safeguarding people against zombies, and he makes the foolish decision to kiss the wife. Could he not have just waited? Of course, horror films, there's a bunch of foolish decisions to make these outcomes happen. And then the children, I was never backing the children. I was never supporting them. As a matter of fact, there was a time during the film where I was actively hoping that they get shot in the head or they get infected, which I should not be saying concerning children. But that's how I felt. They killed their chance of recreating London and Britain, as a matter of fact. Did you feel the same way I felt, or you felt the movie was fine, the characters were fine? Let me know. The comment section is open. I plan to be doing more of this. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see more of this. Thank you for staying with me throughout this. I'll see you in another video.